We are here in the Darling Downs, actually, and I am catching up with David Pascoe from Oakey Veterinary Hospital. Firstly, David, welcome.
Thank you. Welcome to you.
What a beautiful place you've got here, albeit it is in the middle of a drought, and we are being a bit cheeky. We've got it on one of the green paddocks.
The only green patch here.
Well, it's not the only, but it's very important for the mares and foals to be able to get a bit of a green pick in a trying year like this.
Yeah, it keeps the dust down, keeps the disease risk down, so we spend a lot of time just getting them right.
Something, from Victoria, and it's something we probably don't, I suppose, appreciate as much in Queensland. We appreciate the warmer weather and things like that. Drought's pretty common, like up around these parts of the world, and you say there about keeping disease down. It's something that you're able to manage, I suppose, and understand through years and years of experience with it. Yeah,
we do, and like the most important thing up here is getting your nutrition right. And that means you've got to feed twice a day and feed a very balanced diet twice a day because they get nothing else from anywhere else. So, and if you do that, then their breeding goes very well.
So when you say balanced diet, like keep your meals the same night and day, try not to have those peaks and troughs of high energies and things along those lines as well?
Yeah, so we pretty much feed a standard lucerne cereal hay combination. So, I mean, one of your biggest risks at this time of year in drought is colic.
Yep.
So that balances your gut out pretty nicely, and then they get stud grow or some sort of carbohydrate pellet on top of that as they need.
Roughage is huge. It's one thing that a lot of people, I suppose, undersell, and it doesn't matter if it's a wet year or anything. Roughage is one of the key importance. Good quality hay is the greatest part, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's got to have the quality. They can have anything for roughage, but they've got to have quality because it's where all their minerals and vitamins are coming from.
Yeah, absolutely. How many acres you guys got between the two farms, I suppose?
Oh, we've got 200 here and we've got 12 and a half at Oakey.
Big operation, and you were saying there before you're a second generation. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, it's fun. I enjoy the breeding side of it these days. That's about all I do, so it's good.
And that would keep you well and truly busy too, though. You stand stallions.
Yes.
You collect mares, you collect stallions, you send them off. You do a lot of things.
Yeah, we do that. We do embryo transfers, so it's just full on. All the performance stuff is like that. And then the thoroughbred stuff, we've got the resident stallions up here on the downs, and then we ship a lot of mares backwards and forwards to the Hunter Valley. They go down, they're set up, they get bred, they're back overnight, back in their paddocks. So it's a very skilled operation, but it's very successful.
Do you find it a little bit frustrating, and probably you're not going to say too much because it's one of those taboo words in the thoroughbreds, but performance horses, you can collect them, freeze a semen, send it off, collect embryos. You can get embryos out of a mare and inseminate into 3 or 4 different surrogates for the year. And then here's the thoroughbreds, and you've got to still take the mare to the stallion and do the whole thing. Do you find that frustrating?
Well, it's frustrating, but unfortunately their whole marketing system is set up around yearling sales, so it's production and numbers that worry them. And like the standardbreds in the beginning when they went to AI, they had 500 and 600 foals per stallion, and the thoroughbreds would shiver at that thought.
Yep.
And that's really why they stopped it, because they can't control commercially the numbers that go to each horse.
But it is an interesting thing, because I am a standardbred person. It's actually equalled out, because all of a sudden, we'll use Better's Delight, a stallion that I represent, one of them in studs. Boom horse, and everyone says, we're just going to have 1,000 Better's Delights. If you have 500 fillies that are by Better's Delight, they can't go back to Better's Delight, and they can't go back to one of the sons. So there is this equalisation, if you like, of it, and effectively what it does is gives other horses a huge opportunity to cross with a better mating. And I would hasten to say, compared to the thoroughbreds, the standardbreds, especially the trotters, have just gone that much faster. I would imagine in the performance horses, it's sped up your genetic pool so much quicker.
Oh, it does. It gives you huge variety and access to the entire world for your genetics.
Yeah.
And the thoroughbreds, their biggest concern is shuttling these horses backwards and forwards and limiting their books as they're working 2 hemispheres. And I'd love to see it come into it, because it's cruel on these stallions, being worked 4 times a day. Whether they like it or not. There's no policing of how that works. They just have to do it, and they get tired. They start to misfire, but the industry says we've got to have.
Whereas the standardbreds, performance horses, they collect them.
Yep.
I think it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the standardbreds this year, and probably the same for you guys.
Yep.
It's very structured. Books are ordered the day before. The semen arrives from plane. They can, you guys got a horse here in the Darling Downs, and you could serve a mare in Tasmania tomorrow. Like it's quite unique, isn't it?
Well, it is, and the funny part about thoroughbreds is they reinforce covers on all these big farms, particularly in the States. So it's technically AIing anyway, and yet they say, oh, it's taboo. So like they need to just redress the whole system and change it. It'll be disruptive for the first few years, but like the standardbreds, it'll even itself out in time.
Do you enjoy it, David? You enjoy the the whole breeding side of it, if you like, everything from conception through to, we've got a foal going off to have a foot looked at?
Yeah, no, I do. I enjoy the whole process, and I enjoy the challenge of figuring out what goes wrong with them every so often. Breeding's a funny business, and you get mares that breed like clockwork and others that struggle, and it's my job to fix the ones that struggle.
This would be a pretty cool job in a way, as you said. Like you might be up tonight at midnight delivering a foal, or a colic might come in, and then, like I said, you got the farrier just rocked up, and you're going to go down and trim a shoot. And something probably when you're doing your vet school, you're like, well, I won't be doing that, but that would be a great out for you. And then I suppose seeing the progression of that foot and how that changes and how the horse changes over the journey. I love this fact. I think it's great that you do have, I won't say you're a one-stop shop, but you're pretty close to it.
Yeah, we're jack of all trades. But I like it because I just use professional people now to do their job.
Yep.
And I can supervise and give my input into what we're doing. And there's a lot of benefit and a lot of pleasure out of that.
You're a second generation vet. You would have seen so many changes, and I would imagine your father, and I don't know him, but sometimes he would have been probably, oh, we can't do that, but just the changes going through would be enormous. But then the flip side of it is, as I said, with your second generation and in this area, you would understand the climatic changes and how things change. So you're in a very, very unique position when you think about yourself, aren't you?
Oh, absolutely. And I remember when Dad first started doing reproduction, they'd spend probably 3 or 4 hours looking at 6 or 8 mares trying to figure out the whole business of reproduction, and now I look at 70 or 80 in 5 hours every second day. It's just like it's just a machine, and my brain just has to keep functioning on a high level of what we're doing because we're pushing so many through all the time. On that, you do switch on. Do you find it tiring? Like, because you go right through now to Christmas, well, sometimes January, still at that, probably from Christmas the high level stops, but you're still serving right through January and sometimes even into February. Do you still sort of enjoy that? Like I see a lot of vets, and it worries me. You don't hear from them. You hear from them after Christmas right through to sort of June, July, and then you just don't hear from them once breeding season starts. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I enjoy it because it's routine and it's consistent, and you know that you just start early and you finish late, and it's 7 days a week, and that's what you do. And then the off season you slow down, and I get more frustrated in February and March because everyone backs off and everyone thinks they got time, but I've still got work to do. So everyone wants to talk and do this instead of just keeping the machine rolling along
until it finishes. Yeah, there's a breeding season, breeding going up here across the equine sports, if you like. Don't have to single any of them out, but in Queensland, I know with the harness, they're doing huge things to encourage more and more horses be bred in the area. And there's 3 beautiful studs nearby that are breeding a lot more quality and horses that can get these bonuses. But across the board, how's it all going?
Oh, it's strong. I mean, the thoroughbred, like if I look at it over time, since the 80s to now, the horse numbers have dropped dramatically up here, but the farms that are still here are bigger and stronger than they ever were. And that just comes down to commerciality and drive and having the right stallions turn up on your place. And that's worked really well. And the performance horse side of it, the stock horse, quarter horse business is very strong.
Yeah. There's a lot less wastage now, though, isn't there? I mean, they still seem to be able to fill the fields and have the same races, yet the breeding numbers drop. That's not always a bad thing sometimes when the breeding numbers stop, because effectively you're breeding a better quality that stay at the races and stay at the races for a longer period of time, and even in the performance horse, the same thing.
Yeah, and I think moving forward, the industry's got to look at its breakdown rates. Yep. I think there's not enough science going into the breeding side of that, or the pedigree side. It's bred for money, bred for yearling sales, and I think as a result you get a lot more breakdowns as they go.
Yeah, no. I better let you go. That's the second time. Most people turn theirs on silent. I ain't telling you to turn yours on silent. Dave, thank you. Thanks for showing me around. I've really, really enjoyed it, and well done for everything you're doing.
Okay, thanks a lot, Paul.
Thank you.